Hey Gators, welcome back to Sittin with Simmons. Again, I'm your head men's basketball coach, Bob Simmons, and it is my honor and privilege to have the legend himself, Garret Daggett, join the show today. Garret, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
So before we get into your basketball accomplishments and what you've been doing since you left Allegheny College, let me introduce our sponsor of the show. Gang, as you know, we have a sponsor of every show, but because we have Garret on, we just don't have time to have a sponsor of the show today. This is what he's been doing since he's left Allegheny College. I got 6 pages of notes here on what he's been doing since he left Allegheny. So no sponsor of the show today because we don't have time. We just don't have time. So let me tell you a little bit about this man that's on here. All right, let me tell you, probably one of the most decorated Allegheny athletes of all time, if not the most decorated. So here you go, gang. Garret Daggett's basketball story. He's a Hall of Famer, was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2001. He's a 1989 graduate of Allegheny College. Garret was a all-century team player, named in observance of the 100th season of Allegheny basketball back in 1996. He's a 3-time first-team All-NCAC selection. He was the NCAC Player of the Year in 1989. During his career, he helped the Gators to 3 NCAC regular season titles, a pair of NCAC tournament championships, 3 NCAA Division III tournament appearances. He's 5th in scoring, 5th in rebounds, and 1st in block shots. Garret, did you wash the uniforms and drive the bus as well for the team?
Thankfully, no.
Wow, that's impressive. That is impressive. Since I got the job here 6 years ago, I've heard your name quite a bit. When we had Coach Reinders and the Decade of Excellence back on campus, obviously you couldn't make it because of where you were at in a previous commitment, but the stories I heard surrounding you were very, very impressive, and great career. And I'm honored to have you on the show and getting to know you as we built this relationship. So my first question to you is, why did you choose Allegheny College? Because you have an interesting story. You shared it with me. So remember that story you told me. That's what I want to hear. Why did you come to Allegheny College?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I came out of Akron, Ohio, Akron Kenmore. We won that was our first year winning the city series title in Akron. We had the likes of Central Howard High School and some other schools that were very athletic teams, but we had a team that played really well together. But Akron had, a lot of good players. The good players were a dime a dozen. I had Cincinnati University was looking at me coming out and was considering giving me a scholarship, and it came down to me and between me and another guy. And I don't know who the guy was, but he was pretty good, obviously, because they gave the scholarship to him, but still offered me an opportunity to come and work my way onto the team. And I was looking at a Division II school down in Tampa, University of Tampa Bay, Florida, and I decided I wasn't going to do the Cincinnati thing. And unfortunately, the Akron Zips wasn't offering me a scholarship, which I was a little disappointed about. But that's okay, because I have no regrets where I ended. Allegheny was wonderful for me. Coach Reinders was a heck of a salesman. I'll tell you that. He was a salesman. He came to my home. He was the first coach to actually come to my home, and he he pitched a good sales pitch. They had a great point guard in Terry Gray, called him the Greyhound. He was a good friend of mine, and how the story goes is that Terry was so quick that he would beat the entire team down the court, and they were waiting for the rest of the team because he couldn't fast break because he was too fast. So the coach went out recruiting so that we could actually fast break. And so the coach told me that I had an opportunity to be a big fish in a small pond, so to speak. And I said, I kind of took that to heart. And then someone asked me the question about Tampa Bay, University of Tampa Bay, Florida, which was on the beach in Tampa. And they said, do you think you'll get any work done at this school? And I said, if I answer that question honestly, I can tell you probably not. And so it was an opportunity to go to a good school, get a great education, because I knew basketball wasn't going to be my livelihood, right? So I needed something to be able to fall back on, and Allegheny gave me that. They gave me a good education and allowed me to actually do all of the things that you have on that sheet there.
It's a great story. It's a great story. So Gators and future Gators out there, just remember, big fish, small pond. This could happen to you as well. Let's get into what you've done, Garret, since you graduated from Allegheny College in 1989. And, again, I'm not lying, gang, when I tell you all the notes I got here from what he's done. We might have to have 2 episodes of the show, but really impressive. So Garret, why don't you just kind of fill us in quickly what you've done since graduating from Allegheny College?
Oh, wow. So I don't know where to begin. I guess I start from, actually, I had an opportunity when I graduated Allegheny. We had the new coaching staff came in, and I don't know if you guys remember Gary Grant. Gary Grant came out, I believe he came out of Ohio well before I did. But he ended up playing for the Trailblazers, I think, for a season or two back in the 80s. And his brother, Michael Grant, came to us from another university as an assistant coach, and he had certain connections. And so I had an opportunity to get some looks at overseas, was about ready to sign a contract. And my girlfriend at the time became pregnant with my daughter, and I was raised as a family man, and it was an easy decision for me that basketball just wasn't going to do it. I was going to stay in the United States. I wasn't going to take my family overseas. In fact, I wasn't married, so they would have had to stay here. So I decided to go on and try to find other ways and to build a life. And so things didn't work out in the public sector, and so I thought I'd try my hand at the military. So I went into the Air Force and had a great 8 years there. Ended up playing and I didn't share this with you guys, but I had the opportunity to play for the All Air Force basketball team. And matter of fact, I played with David Robinson's little brother. He was a what was the Air Force? He was from the Air Force Academy, and they brought a 7-footer, and it was funny because my dunking on the 7-footer in the first practice actually left me, gave me that opportunity to play on that team for the Air Force, because it was kind of a tight-knit squad of guys. But I spent two years on that team. We had a lucrative season, 2 years in a row. Military treated me well, but around 97, it was time for me to move on and find some to actually expand my wings, so to speak, in the public sector. And I began working in public relations for a financial firm here in Spokane. and a couple years working there, I had an opportunity to run a campaign for the mayor here. Actually won a campaign for him as his manager. I didn't put that in my accolades either. That's just a little tidbit, a little side note there. But got some experience in this community, and that really thrust me into the community limelight here in Spokane. And built a network of people here in Spokane, and made a name for myself working for Metropolitan Mortgage and Securities back then, and then eventually went over to the utility company, Avista Corporation, which owns the utility here. But I worked for the development company there that does land-based development as a project manager for a major steam plant square renovation project. And the rest is history, so to speak. So I've been involved in a number of different things here in Spokane. Was 6 years. I served on the board of directors for Spokane Public Schools, which became my passion of being, involved in the community, wanting to give back. I've been 18 years. I've been refereeing basketball and served on the board there for 9 years for Spokane Basketball Association, and worked some state championships, and saw some great players come through this state.
Yeah, it's funny, Garret, when you told me that you were officiating, um, I was like, how'd you go to the dark side? How'd you go to the dark side? NCAC officials, I love you all. You know that. I love you all. But I got to ask the question, Garret.
What made me do it, huh?
You went to the dark side. What happened?
So I'll tell you, it was pretty simple for me. It was a way to give back, to the game. I'd been playing since I left the Air Force, and you guys may have heard of Hoop Fest here in Spokane. They've named Spokane Hoop Town, USA, and everything. We got Gonzaga here, who's pretty much running the table this year. But I that's all I did. I was always looking for a way to play ball, but 6 knee surgeries, luckily none while I was in college or playing ball for the Air Force. Knees just started to deteriorate a little bit. And so this was a way for me to stay connected to the game, and give back, and be involved that way. So, and it's been a blast.
Great. No, that's great. That is fantastic. And I joke with you there. I know you guys are doing great things. You and I talked about the WAOA and what the project you're working on. Let's talk a little bit about that. We're here in February, as you well know, Black History Month. The theme for this year is the Black family, representation, diversity, and identity. And I think what you're doing with the WAOA really could speak to that. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Oh, the WAOA. Yeah. So the Washington Officials Association is the statewide association that oversees basically the governing of all sports officials across the state of Washington. And so last year, with the climate that we're still kind of living in here today, the social climate, the political climate being as it was, the board, the WAOA board decided that they didn't want to stay quiet. They didn't want to stay in the background. They wanted to hit this issue head on, and not have a situation where our officials are caught between a rock and a hard place, where it becomes, we have, this is a pretty, it's not a very diverse state. When you look at the west and the east, we have Seattle and Tacoma, and on the west side, and Spokane is the biggest city, actually the third largest city in the state, and we're on the far east side of Washington. And so what the board did was bring together folks from all different associations across the state, and different sports, baseball, football, basketball. I obviously ref basketball, but we have about 9 people on this committee, and they wanted us to come up with some recommendations for policy for the WOA and for our officials and our associations, various associations across the state. And so we're in the infant stages of all of this and coming up with some policies. We just put some recommendations to the board, and now we haven't even opened up yet. Basketball this year won't even start. Sorry about that. Basketball won't even start until middle of April, and we'll go through June. But our winter spar sports will actually kick off here in a couple weeks. Matter of fact, going into this week, teams will be able to practice and start putting some work together for scrimmages and whatnot, and then games, and then it'll go 6 weeks. And so we really needed to hurry up and come up with some things. So we put some recommendations out, and we're waiting now for the board to decide on those. But we're really trying to address those issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion right up front before everything, we get to a point where we have to deal with something. And so we wanted to be ahead of that.
That's great, and again, the social injustice, in our society, we got to step up and use our voice and try to make a change, right? And that's
Absolutely
what we're trying to do. That's what we're trying to do here, and encouraging our young men to do that. And I'm proud of them for what they're doing as well. But let's go back a little bit here, Garret. Let's talk about your most memorable Allegheny College men's basketball moment. Let's talk about that. What is it? What is your most memorable moment?
My most memorable moment. Here's the thing. I'm not, and most of my teammates will tell you, I let my game do the talking. I wasn't a big trash talker. Didn't enjoy doing it, but every now and then I'll get, I'll get in a little mouth spout with another opponent or whatnot. But my most memorable moment was basketball, and I don't know if you guys still do this, but back then we would go. Coach would take us, on these little trips, and back in the 87-89 season, we were on a stretch of games down in the South, and we had, I think it was right around my 21st birthday, and we played then Division I school, Liberty Baptist University. They're Liberty now, like Liberty University now, but they were called Liberty Baptist back then, Jerry Falwell's church. And we went down there and we played these guys on their court and lost to them in a very tight game. I was, oh gosh, Division III school on the court of a Division I school, and we're giving them the business, and we couldn't quite bring it home, right? And so we lost, and I left that game with a bad taste in my mouth because it was my birthday. I'm like, gosh, man, I wanted to win a game on my birthday. And so the next game we were supposed to play, we were playing UNC Greensboro, who was a Division II school, and they had an All-American on their squad. And this guy was averaging about 28 points a game. And right before that game, the Meadville Tribune did an article on me. And I don't even remember how many games, but there was some insane stretch of games, consecutive games where I had held the opponent's best player under his average. And this guy got wind of that article and started talking trash about the team and how we had, we were close in a close game with Liberty, and was talking about my accolades on the defensive side. And we had a well-balanced scoring team. Anybody could score 30 anytime we went out. And so I really took it to heart, and I said, okay, no, we're not losing this game. And I'll tell you, the guy ended up scoring 24, was still under his average, but I was happy about about keeping him under, but it was still not to my standards. I would have wanted to keep him under 20, but I ended up scoring 28, which was awesome. And the more important thing was we beat them by more than 20 on their court. And I had that was a great time, and we had fun in that game. And one of the great things about it was, I'm literally standing out of bounds, getting ready to, hand the ball in bounds, and we're getting, at half court, and half of their student section is inviting us to parties on their campus that night. And we're like, oh, crap, man. And so we're like, we're gonna get in some fights here tonight, because we were drilling these guys. And so after the game, we're done, and we're in the locker room talking about, okay, we're having a good time. What are we gonna do tonight? We're like, there's no way in hell we're gonna stay on this campus, man. We're gonna be in a fight if we run into these guys. And so we went about a couple miles down the road to North Carolina A&T, and we go to this campus party down there, and we're having a good time. And then I'm on the dance floor, and I look past John Pittman and Ward Wilson, and I said, holy crap, here comes their whole team. Their whole team comes walking into the party, and I look, I grab them, I say, okay guys, get ready, we might have to do something here. And they came in, and it was all good. They gave us a lot of respect. We had a good time, and we chuckled and had drinks and had a good time with those guys.
That's awesome. That is a great story, man.
Yeah.
That is awesome. That is awesome, because you were known, for your defense. That's what you took great pride in. But everyone talks about you here as your ability to score. And I know at one point, people were like on you for not scoring enough.
Yeah.
And but it goes to show you how you put, the team first. And well, look what you guys have done. I mean, you guys are part of the winningest decade in Allegheny College history. 6 championships in the 80s. That's phenomenal. That is phenomenal.
Yeah, we as a team, I want to comment a little bit about that, because as a team, we had 7 seniors. So that was awesome. We came in, and I think we had a couple other guys in our group, I'm not going to mention, that might have had that had some aspirations of being the top freshman, and we all did, right? We were all good. And I ended up shining a little bit and ended up taking a starting position as a freshman. But we all bought into the system. We all bought into the system and understood our roles. We knew we needed to play defense, but we wanted to get out and run, and we knew everybody could score. And so, selfishness, for me, had to go out the window. I mean, that wasn't part of my DNA anyways, right? That's something that was instilled in me back in high school, because we had the same sort of system. So Allegheny's system actually worked well for me. I knew I could score. I could score when I wanted to. I was pretty quick. I could handle the ball. I could shoot. I mean, I was 50% shooter throughout my career. And but yeah, we did well as a team. We worked hard as a team, and we played hard as a team.
And with Coach Reinders, that was not an option. Playing hard was not an option. That was a must. that was a must with Coach Reinders. We
Absolutely.
Still talk about that. Coach and I talk on a regular basis, and we talk about toughness all the time. So Garret, before we wrap up, what is a message that you would like to share with an Allegheny College prospective student athlete for men's basketball? What's the message you would like to share? Why should they choose Allegheny?
So what I would say to a student athlete coming to Allegheny is, enjoy the moment, have fun, because that's what being in college is about, finding yourself and understanding who you are and what you want to be, but also have some goals and stick to them, and be there and be about getting your education and accomplishing what you want to accomplish, because you can't get those years back once they're gone, right? You can always try, but it's not always the same. Things happen, life happens when you get done, and it's not always easy to go back and try to pick up after you leave. So make every moment count when you're in college, and learn to have fun, but get your work done.
Awesome, awesome message. Gators, it was great having Garret on the show. I really appreciate your time, Garret. I'm really enjoying building this relationship with you and building this friendship. Looking forward to getting you guys back on campus. Gators, as always, stay safe, stay healthy, stay masked up, and refuse to lose.